Hi, guess who? I'm going to end this term with a short message. In general terms, our goal in this program is we want you to be well-rounded in your preparation. We want you to be ready for anything. We want you to be the pros from Dover, the ones they turn to when they're at their wits' end about what to do with those kids. Because you know what you're doing and they have no idea. Now, some of you right now are planning or reforming or starting programs. And the other day I sent some feedback to one of you that afterwards I reflected on, and I thought, everyone in this class should know this. I mean, schools are a huge chess match. And as one very wise chess master keeps telling his students over and over, see the whole board. Some of the following that I'm going to mention, some may be new, and regardless, I ask you to think on it. See the whole board and maybe change your moves. In the Willie Brown Project, you got a good glimpse of seeing different perspective. But understand this, there is an established system in the school game. It's fixed, like chess, so that you cannot tell your opponent, oh, I get to start with 3 queens because I don't need those dumb knights. No, the pieces in chess are set, and so it is in our customary school settings. The game is rigged to not work very well. And here are some of the reasons why education creates its own problems. 1, packing hundreds, even thousands of kids into one building, knowing each child has a different agenda, is a setup, is it not? 2, rules are needed, but none are positive in promoting student and faculty healthy developing and connecting, which is why we exist as human spirits, to develop and to connect. I mean, why are there not rules like you must say 3 sincerely kind things to at least 3 different people every day, instead of rules sounding like, if you miss 17 days in a row, you'll be suspended. 3, curriculum is forced on the students no matter if they're interested in it or not. Ask myself this, who exactly established the courses everyone should take? Have they even met the students that are taking them to see if they're needed or are helpful? How do they know there are not better courses than these for these students? 4, suddenly you are restricted from even going to the bathroom when you need to. Plus you're strapped into a chair or desk for hours and hours. If a parent did that at home, social workers would show up. 5, personalization is way down the list compared to standardization, despite everyone knowing we're all different. So what is that about? 6, strengths, talents, and interests are ignored. very thing that would excite students. 7, students are automatically seen as inferior to teachers. And some students are seen as more inferior than others. And the last one, there are many, but I'll mention one more. Number 8, stress and pressure are normalized. It's just seen as a regular thing or a good thing to have a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. Who made that up? Research doesn't show that that's good for people. Do you remember the pressure you felt in school? Did that help you? Or did you just try to find a way around it? Maybe that's what it's supposed to teach us, how to beat the system. Well, the nice thing about these 8 is that if you just look at each one and do the opposite, you'd have a pretty swinging school. You know, like smaller classes and groups, or at least students working in small groups, even if you have a large school. Have the rules, have some rules on good stuff and healthy stuff and positive stuff, not all on, if you do this, then all hell's going to come down on your head. It doesn't set a good tone for the environment, learning environment, when it's all about punishment. 3rd, why do we force curriculum onto students even if they're not interested in it? You really think they're going to learn it and retain it? They don't. Research shows that they'll remember 6% after 1 year, 3% after 2 years, and 1% after 3 years. How's that for efficient? Let's get the bathroom thing fixed. If people got to go, let them go. And, maybe your classroom doesn't have this thing about people staying in their seats all the time. But there's no reason people can't learn standing up and have project centers, or even having a soft chair or couch or laying on the floor, reading or studying or meeting in groups. And for Pete's sakes, we've talked about differentiated instruction, personalizing instruction for decades, but we haven't done anything about it in an organized, systematic way. And it's being done. We just have to take the models that are working and expand them through the whole system. It's really simple to do. Now, the first few months maybe take some work, but then the teacher's going to be a lot more free in the classroom because the students will be working independently a lot more. And number 6, instead of ignoring strengths and talents and interests, let's find ways to shape the subject matter around students' strengths and talents and interests. They can read about things they're interested in. They can do projects with their strengths and talents. We just need to think a little bit laterally, that's all. 7, now this is tough because this is a built-in thing that students are inferior. We need to have, I guess, some kind of sensitivity groups or something about that. Because just because they're 17 or 9 doesn't mean they're not full-fledged human beings. I mean, should 30-year-olds treat 21-year-olds as inferior? Should 40-year-olds treat 32-year-olds as inferior? It's about respect. If we don't have respect, which we don't in many schools, the system really doesn't work very well. And last, we can do a lot of things to reduce stress and pressure. Instead of using it as a motivational system, we don't really have to do that to encourage people to learn. Especially if we take 1 through 7 up above and make some changes there, we can reduce a lot of stress and pressure. So that's just some basic ideas. You can come up with your own, or you probably have in this course. But my point is this: by doing these 8 things, we've created our own Frankenstein's monster. And then it turns around and terrorizes us. This is what we're dealing with. Okay, I have a question for you. We ask people what model they're using or what program they're using as if it's a magic bullet. I would say that if you use something like the Naran 9 model or the Educating for Human Greatness model that's in your text, you'll do just fine. Okay? I'm going to level with you. I've been around a long time in this game, and I've worked in a lot of situations. I've learned a lot from listening to people and research, going to conferences, things like that. And I think you want to create an excellence academy rather than a let's get them graduated academy. You want to create an enthusiastic learning environment rather than let's make sure we keep everything clean and quiet. We're not thinking big enough. We're not thinking about significance and meaningfulness and excitement, enthusiasm, inspiration. For Pete's sakes, we've got those things. We've got all the ingredients to make this great cake, and we just let it sit in the cupboard and get moldy. Now, let's talk about our kids. If you list the psychological sheets, you're going to find 2 horrific fundamental flaws in program or lack thereof for kids who are at risk. One is that the mainstream regards our kids as unwanted. You think those kids don't pick up on that? I mean, how do you react when you're around someone who makes it known that they don't want to be around you? Second, most of the educators and administrators who are supposed to be there for all the kids, right, do not think kids at risk are worth the extra effort it takes to provide the compensatory education that they need to have equal opportunity of attainment. I've actually heard them say it, throwing good money after bad. Some of you have heard that. What? Who told you to play God with these kids? You know, we've talked about re-victimizing victims. That is an example of it. When you hear that from somebody else, you should challenge them, or at least cringe if you don't feel comfortable challenging them. Wow, do they know what just came out of their mouth? Really? And they're teachers? They need to be removed. Any practices, programs, or people that have that basal assumption about kids who are already underrepresented need to be removed. Okay, I'm going to give you some suggested guidelines. Actually, a lot of them are in the book, so I'm going to say page 106, figure 1. This is in the How to Connect with Students at Risk. It's about the functional and dysfunctional family. If you do the things on the left and don't do the things on the right, on that chart, figure 1, page 106, you'll have a much better environment for your school. Simple. Page 156, don't do the things under checklist for program failure. Page 156, don't hire people who fit under the checklist for staffing failure. Page 210, set up the Secret Angel Club. Page 233, although the 4R elementary curriculum was set up in response to educators wondering why we weren't doing anything in the elementary school since we could identify at-risk kids. Can't we catch them earlier? That's why we established the 4R curriculum. But there's everything right with living by the 4Rs of respect, responsibility, resourcefulness, and reflection in high school. And in your whole adult life, actually. I still try to live by those. To put them in plain language, we humans are all about relationships of all kinds, and the singular glue that makes for healthy, productive relationships is respect. Seeing you as worthwhile, equal to me. When respect leaves a relationship, it's pretty well over. It's a death knell. Fight to retain it. Fight to keep it. Resourcefulness. Learn to take care of yourself. Shed codependence. Don't need anyone, even though you can still be helpful. You can be hateful. You can still be helpful, and you can still be willing to accept help. Just because you accept help or give help doesn't mean you're codependent. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the key to freedom, and it's the cousin to resourcefulness. And reflection is the thing that separates us from dogs and cats and all the other animals in the animal kingdom. I mean, my dog never sits and thinks, I wonder if I could be a better dog. Or maybe I should try to be more considerate and not bark so much. No, they don't do that. But we do it. It's one thing we can do. And the better we reflect, we call it thinking, the better solutions we come up with to our problems. It's a real gift to oneself and humanity. To be able to examine one's own behavior and change that behavior deliberately into something beneficial, it's a great thing to teach kids. So that's all. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. And I hope to see you down the road, or at least be in contact with you. And may peace be with you for the rest of your days. And God bless you in your work to champion children. And if you are not in our master's program, please get in it. Because we need you. Children need you. We're in a war against ignorance that people don't understand, these kids. And they need champions. Bye. Finish the term. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good vacation if you got any left.